Hi, everybody. So today I will be giving you a step-by-step guide on how you make Korean garlic buns. These are a viral dish that I found from TikTok, but also known as a popular street food from Korea. These buns are the perfect combination of savory and sweet. You'll taste the garlic butter along with the sweetness from the cream cheese filling and all of the soft goodness inside on the golden brioche roll. They're simple to make, very easy ingredients, and these are perfect when you're serving a group for either an appetizer, snack. I personally will use this in substitution of a garlic bread loaf if I'm making an Italian dish like a lasagna or pasta. For your ingredients, you will need 8 brioche rolls. For your cream cheese filling, you're going to use cream cheese, white sugar, and heavy cream. For your garlic butter, you'll need an egg, melted butter, minced garlic, parsley, milk, Italian seasoning, and grated Parmesan. Together, these will give you the sweet and savory flavor dipping that you're going to need to make this dish, which is, I think, why it's also so popular. Now, first step is deciding on what you're going to do for the bread. You have three options, which I like to say is either bake, buy, or scratch. So you can buy these frozen in the food store, your local grocery store, for example. Before you put them in the oven, of course, you do want to coat them with an egg wash so that way when they're rising, they still have a crispy but golden coating on the outside and still soft on the inside. You can buy pre-made brioche buns also at the grocery store. My tip is that when you take them home, take them out the pack and let them sit while you're preparing the other ingredients or for about at least 30 minutes. This will allow them to get a little bit more of the firmness that you'll need when you're cutting and filling them, just because when they're in that bag, they still hold a lot of moisture. You want them to be soft, but you also want them to be firm. And then the final option, of course, is that you can make them completely from scratch if you're a person who just likes to make everything homemade, or if you're a vegan or want to just try different ingredients, in your recipe, then this would be the perfect thing for you. Now, for the cream cheese filling, you are going to need to use and add the cream cheese, white sugar, and heavy cream into a mixing bowl or using a spatula. If you leave the cream cheese out prior to your mixing, it should be soft enough that you can easily do it with a spatula if you don't have a mixer at home. Otherwise, if you have a mixer, it's also the most convenient and fastest option to have everything mixed in. You do want to make sure that your filling is soft, but also fluffy and most importantly, smooth. Once everything has been combined, you're going to use a spatula to add the filling into a piping bag. Now, you can leave the bag and set it to the side, or personally, I like to put it in the refrigerator just so that when you're finally filling in the buns, you have a little bit more control with the cream being a little more firm. For your garlic butter, you're going to want to mix together your egg, melted butter, minced garlic, parsley, Italian seasoning, and Parmesan cheese. You want to make sure this is blended together really well. The ingredients may look or seem like they're constantly going to the bottom, but as you're mixing, everything should combine well. This is the coating that will go on the outside of the bun, giving them a very savory but rich flavor. This also helps with the outer color for that golden brown texture that you'll see once you take it out of the oven. Now, once you've gotten both of those ingredients assembled and combined, it's time to start the actual process. First thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. While it's preheating, you're going to take those rolls and you want to cut them in what I would like to call a T shape. So you're going to go down and then across. And then I like to do two going diagonal, which creates 6 slices around the roll. It's gonna feel kind of funny at first. I like to just get a good grip on the bun with using by using a glove. You want to make sure that you're not cutting too deep because you don't want the roll to fall apart, but just enough to make sure that you get the filling in deep enough that it fills the entire bun. After you fill in the buns, I do like to go back in and add filling in the middle center as a dollop on the top. One for presentation, and it just makes everything stick into the center and it makes more filling and just more enjoyable for the buns. After you do your filling, then you're going to want to add the buns into the oven. But before you do that, you want to make sure that you're dipping it in the garlic butter. So, what I like to do is do a quick stir. I dip them in the garlic butter, make sure that it's completely coated from top to bottom and side to side. You do want to make sure that you get any excess dripping off just to avoid anything burning on your baking sheet. You want to line your parchment paper on a baking dish and set those out. Don't want them to be too close and give each bun its own space to cook evenly. You're going to want to bake that for about 8 to 10 minutes. I personally like my food to be a little on the well done and crispy side. Even though you still are aiming for softness, I would like to cook mine typically on the full 10 minutes or until golden brown. After you take it out, a few tips and just things that you want to remember when you're making this recipe is that you will finish by garnishing your buns with parsley and fresh grated Parmesan. You can also use red pepper flakes just for an extra touch of spice to match the sweetness. And this is also the perfect time to go back over with Italian seasoning if you like. Now, if you're someone who likes a more sweeter taste, when you are doing your cream cheese filling, instead of white sugar, you can substitute that for condensed milk. The texture will not change, but you do want to be mindful that the sweetness will be there and it'll just make it a little bit of a more on the dessert side, but it's still really good. Really can't explain it more than that. But the condensed milk version I have tried, I personally prefer the white sugar, but both are equally really well. And finally, when you are prepping your cream cheese filling, before you do anything, you want to make sure that you let that cream cheese sit out for at least 30 minutes. It's easier to mix all of the ingredients together when it has been sat out for some time, especially if you don't have a mixer at home and you're going to be mixing this by hand with a spatula. Otherwise, this is my citation. I like to use a lot of my recipes and inspirations for meals from Morbian. I also found her on TikTok, so I did want to make sure that she was cited in this. And I appreciate your time. I hope you guys try the recipe. If you do, please let me know. Thank you.